Hey guys, what's up? So in today's video, I'm going to kind of walk through some of the future plans for 45. Now, I know 45, you know, obviously in much better shape than 3, and 45 really doesn't need a quote-unquote restoration. But there are a few things that I am thinking about doing, and there are a few things that I would like to do to this bus. And I just kind of wanted to make this video to kind of discuss some of those things I want to do, and um, just kind of show you where the future of this bus is going. Because, I mean, in 3 years, this bus will be 30 years old, so it's technically an antique. It's a historical vehicle. So obviously there are going to be things that need to be done to it to keep it, you know, it's what do they call that? Preventative maintenance, to keep it from deteriorating and stuff like that. So on the inside here, I'm just gonna get started on some of the small things that I want to try to get done this year and into the future. But so the first thing, and I've talked about this in previous videos, bus updates mainly. The first thing I want to do on the inside is I want to redo the dome lights, because these dome lights are personally not my favorite. Like I don't know if you can see it, but like that dome light, these Wayne dome lights from the early 90s, they just, I don't know. I don't think they were built that way. I feel like that's just a over time thing of them yellowing like that, but then again, I don't know. They honestly could have looked like that when they were new, but I feel like that's a horrible look for a dome light, so I doubt it. But I want to replace them. My rear dome light on the passenger side has already been replaced. It was replaced before I got the bus, because I have Wayne branded lenses I want to put on them, and I don't think these lights really give off all that much of light. Now I know it's on during the day, and like you're not really going to see its light potential, but like the older style light, just with how the lens is yellowed, I feel like it just isn't that good at giving off light. So the plan on that is to replace the 5 that I've got on here that are not updated. My driver's dome light, that's an interesting story, because I don't know if my driver's dome was ever connected, because I'm pretty sure there's not a bulb in it right now, and the wiring is disconnected, which I feel like, it probably came from the factory in working order, but at some point, I don't know if it was when the cameras got installed or what the deal was, it got disconnected, which I don't like, so I'm obviously going to remedy that. But, that's something that I want to get taken care of, is just that dome light. I want it to work again, because I only have the interesting thing here is I only have one switch for dome lights, and it's not like it just says dome lights. It says so passenger dome, and you would think that that's not the driver's dome. Like the driver's dome would not be included in that. You would think that it would have its own switch, because that's how 66 is. When it comes to the switches, it's like passenger dome, driver dome. But I've also seen buses where it's all one switch. I don't know. I just think it's odd how that's kind of wired. I would feel like that driver's dome should be wired in with that and would come on when you hit that switch. But like I said, it's disconnected. So I don't know. I still think that's odd. But the plan is to get these dome lights turned around. And I'll show you, because I already have one of the dome lights done. But this is what I'm talking about. Right here is the Wayne branded clear lenses. But I think these dome lights will just look better, and they're Wayne branded, so you can't go wrong there. And I feel like they'll put off a little bit more light. And then the other thing inside that really it's kind of a I only have one seat in here that's kind of iffy. And it's this seat right here. I need to I want to replace this bottom cushion, because that's That's not good. And I have some cushion fabric that I can probably replace that with. But, you know, there are seats in here, and I mean, it's to be expected for as old as this bus is. So, you know, I want to definitely replace that one at some point. The other thing I want to redo in here is the numbers. So, the seat numbers in here are actually very interesting because it's a font that I've never seen before this. Like, I've only seen it on our Waynes. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but you can see here what I mean. Like, it's not your average font that you would see for seat numbers, I feel like. So, a while back, I took pictures of everything, and I want to try to have them recreated, because I know, like, most of them are yellowed around the edges, but for some reason, the 6s and 9s seem to stay in good shape. So, it should be that color on the outer edge. So, I'm going to try to have them all recreated, so that I can redo my seat numbers in that specific font. So that's something. I mean, that's not really a big deal. I still have plenty of time to do that, but that's also something else I'd kind of like to do in here. My aisle trim, you can see where they went in here and replaced some of it. I don't know. I guess I could probably, if I looked hard enough, find aisle trim for one of these, but right now it's not too much of a concern to me, because it's not like the replacement's coming up or any of the other parts of the aisle trim are coming up. So, you know, right now it's fine. Let's see what else in here. I kind of hate what they did to the console, where they took the radio and the cassette player out, and they made that ugly contraption to cover it. I don't know if all the hookups for it are gone, or what they did. I'm assuming they just pulled it out and probably cut the wires. But that would be something that, if I could, I would replace it. But at the same time, the original backing plate, so the metal piece, it's broken. So, I don't know. I may just leave it how it is. But other than that, in here, I feel like most of the stuff I want to do is on the outside of the bus. So we will go out there real quick. I do have a lot of paint peel up there, but you know, that's no big deal. I feel like if it got real bad, I could probably try to match the color and touch it up somehow. And then I have those stupid holes in the ceiling from the cameras, which there's really nothing to be done. I put the little plastic pieces on them so it doesn't look as bad, but you know, what are you gonna do? So moving to the outside here, I want to do a repaint. I feel like the entire body just could use it, especially with this, where inspection stickers have peeled off this paint. Like, this needs to be, and you can see it's still peeling. This needs to be like sanded and then repainted and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to just do one square. Like, you know, if it was just this that needed repainted on the entire bus, you know, I wouldn't really think about an entire repaint. But there are multiple spots on this bus that could use it. Like this down here, that could use it. I don't know why that's all cracked up, but you know, that's something. And paint is peeling, because I mean, this paint is almost 30 years old. So, and this bus was in service up until its 26th year of existence. So I feel like for as old as it is and as long as it was in service, it did pretty well. Moving to the front, the big thing here is I want to get a different hood. This hood is from an older bus, and over here, this mirror at some point in the service life broke, and I kind of had to reattach it. And you can see, like, this mirror, I mean, it's there, it's not going to fall off, but over time I feel like that's going to become an issue again. You can see where this used to have fender signals, but they took them off, and you've got these wonderful little things. No 3800 emblems, and I know at the end of the day I could just add 3800 emblems, but the other thing about this hood is it doesn't sit right. And you can see here, if you look, well, and it's cracked right there, but anyways, if you look, you can see where it's not flush with the fender extension like it should be. And if we look at the other side, it's, you know, like it pops out a little bit, if you can see what I mean. So that would be nice. And also you got the clear coming off the cowl, so that leads into my repaint ideas. The bumper's fine. I would kind of like to redo the ID tag, but I don't know if I can find that same material, because when they peeled off the numbers, they took some of the tag with it. So, you know, that's cool. And over here, this rub rail, I would like to replace this rub rail because it does have a rust hole. So that would be something down the road. If I ever repainted the bus, that would be getting done. You know, that needs repainted from where they've done rust work to it. You know, I've still to this day never opened this battery box. But you can see, like, down there, all this paint's chipping off, so that leads into what makes me want to repaint the bus. And then you got this. And then the rub rails need resealed. So the sealing is like it, there you go, that's a good example. From where I had to go in there and take the paint off that they sprayed over this, you've got little traces of the black paint, and then you've got it all around the rub rails, and you know, even there's still spots where the paint is, and this L is all screwed up. So it's like, this is another thing that leads me into a repaint down the road. I mean, we have this here where they've bondoed it, and that's kind of an issue because of how this bus is made. This whole panel is one big piece, so I can't just take this section out. I mean, I can, but it's not going to look right. So, like, you know, that's the one issue here, is this whole side is one big piece. So it's like, to fix that and it look right, it's gonna need more than just Bondo, and I really hate that this happened to it. I mean, I understand they did that to preserve it, and that's great, but I guess it could be worse. They could have redone the entire side, and it'd be looking like Wayne and then IC, and the wheel wells would be different, and I'm just glad they didn't do that to it. But moving on, you know, you do have your rust. There is rust. Even a Wayne is not fully exempt from rust. I mean, they hold up better, but they still get it. And this right in here just needs to be redone and repainted, honestly. And this is more of why I want to repaint, because you've got all these little spots. And moving to the back, you've got some new spots where paint has peeled off recently. And then we've got this spot here, which that spot's been there for a while. It was like that when it was in service, but it's increasingly getting bigger, and it's coming down, and I feel like this is going to eventually meet that, and it's going to be all over the place. And then we've also got this god-awful faded paint where they probably went in and tried to fix something. So that also leads in, I mean, there's a lot of factors that are leading me into a repaint down the road. But you've got this where the paint's chipped off. You got the rear door handle looking awful. The god-awful reflective tape that does not belong on a Wayne. I can't take that off right now because it'll peel paint with it. State law needs to be redone. There's some rust work that could probably be done behind these reverse lights because it's unfortunately bubbled behind them from where they just allowed the older light to pretty much corrode and not replace it, and then it just started rusting the bus. And then you got more paint peel, and then there's your rust problem from where it's bubbled down here, and it's real bad over here. And that's just what I mean, like, and this right here, all surface rust where it's bubbled, and I feel like it just needs to be, you know, sanded down, repainted, and that would probably do it pretty good. But this is all, the repaint is a very long way away, if anything, on this list, because it takes some money, and you got to have a place to do it, or you're paying somebody that has a place to do it. So it's not a cheap job. And right here just shows you more examples of why I want to repaint, because none of that matches where they went in and probably, I'm assuming, fixed some rust. And then, I mean, there's a little dent here, but I don't really think that's too big of a issue. The windows are not bad. Some of them, their seals are popping up. So that's something, but it's not that big of an issue for me right now. I would love to get mud flaps that say like International, or if I could find one with Wayne on them or something. I'd love to do that down the road. The wheels, I'm thinking, if the repaint happens, I'm thinking of making these wheels look gray, which if you look, it looks like these wheels at one time were gray, but they had to paint over them for some stupid reason, probably because Highway Patrol is just like that. But I would like to make those gray and the center be black. Like, that was the look that a lot of the older buses had, and it just, to me, it looks really good. And in here, you've got more of that unfortunate Bondo of the side. And this is just, when it comes to the little bit of body work that the bus would need in a repaint situation, this is what I don't like. You've eliminated this rail, or, you know, sheeting here. And so now it's flat, and it's just not going to look right. And the only way to remedy that is to replace the section. But that section goes all the way down the length of the bus. So it's not like you can just pop some rivets, pull out that section, and put on a new section without it looking weird. Yeah, that's pretty much the walk around. The lettering is all painted, so I can pretty much tape that off and repaint from the stencils, because it's like you can see where it's painted and like it's cut into the yellow, if that makes sense, because this black layer was there, I think, or taped off before the yellow, because it just, you can feel that the black is, like, that layer of paint is deeper than the yellow. So that's something, but that just leads into more repainting, why I want to do it, like this discoloration here, and then from where I had to peel the paint off, like, it just, or where I had to take the paint off to spray paint, like, it just, I couldn't get it all, so that kind of led into it. That's pretty much it on the outside. I mean, what you can't see, which is on the roof, I mean, you can probably see to some extent, but the roof has actually got a lot of missing paint. So that's the roof is what led me into the repaint in the first place. And honestly, with this lighting, you can see where this hood looks like crap, because I don't know what they did to it, but you can see where some kind of repair was done, and it just, I don't know, this hood does not have any good color. But real quick, I'll get up on the roof and show you the roof paint. Before we look at the roof paint, here's just more spots where it could use some work. And I know a lot of these spots could probably be touched up, but this right here needs to be sanded, and the rust needs to be remedied. Up here, the school bus signs are intact, warning lights are all good. Everything up here looks pretty solid. The cowl is kind of iffy. And then one last thing over here, before we move up to the roof, that windshield wiper, I still need to figure out why it's not wiping. It's probably just the motor's bad, but either way, it needs to be wiping, and probably need to replace the blades here sometime soon. But it's not like these wipers get used a lot right now, so like the blades that are on them are okay. But obviously, eventually, I'm going to want to replace those, so that way I actually have good blades on it. Now, moving on to the roof, I can't remember if I've shown this in a bus update or not, but, well, no, I would have probably shown it in Rooftop Thoughts. So, for the roof, real quick, I want to look at the clearance lights. You can see where this one metal piece is kind of bent up. I mean, that's not really a big deal, but yeah, it's something. But up here, I'm pretty sure I've shown this in, would have been Rooftop Thoughts. There's all kinds of paint peel. So this is another reason why repaint down the road would probably not be a bad idea, just as a preventative measure. Because with how this bus is built, you've got all these rivets and bolts. Some of these are like actual bolts and not necessarily rivets, going down the entire length of the bus that keep these 3 topping sheets that go the entire length in place. And I mean, you can see where paint's come off and it's rusted, because at one time all of them would have been yellow, obviously. So it's like that as a preventative thing, I feel like would be a good idea. I mean, you guys see 3, how it is. I mean, there's rust up there from where the paint is no longer there and they just have been rusting. But I don't know, I just don't want it to get to where the layer underneath this paint starts peeling or chipping or rusting or whatever, because then you're going to get to the bare metal. I mean, it's already gotten to the bare metal in these smaller spots, but long term, I just think it would be a good idea to repaint this roof and the rest of the bus, because it's, like I said, just a preventative measure. And no, I will not be putting a white roof on this bus. Before anyone says it or thinks it, absolutely not. White roofs don't belong on Waynes, in my opinion. Anyways, so that's pretty much it. The other thing that I want to talk about while we're up here with the warning lights, if I could ever get my hand on a pair of the squared warning light visors that were on Waynes, you better believe I'd be putting them on this bus. I think they're a really cool visor, and I think it would look great on this one. But anyways, that's pretty much it. I don't know, I mean, this video really doesn't have a true point to it. It's not like 45 is in dire need of the things I listed in this video. A lot of the things are just things that I want to upgrade, and the painting is just a preventative maintenance thing. I think that that's going to help the bus last a little bit longer, to kind of take care of some of that rust, even if it's just surface rust and stuff like that, and you know, just repaint the body and everything. And I know that's a big task, so that's why I'm saying that's going to be a down the road thing. But right now, like smaller things like a hood eventually, and maybe international branded mud flaps, or if I can ever find rectangle or squared visors, you know, maybe something like that. But I don't know, I just kind of wanted to make this video since we're in the new year and kind of talk about some of the future for this bus, and you know how that goes. But with that being said, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just a little look into where I'm going with 45 and its future and other things. If I have anything to do with it, this bus will not be leaving my possession for quite some time, if ever. So yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and yeah.